A great greeting to everyone and welcome to a new video. Today, we are going to review the 4 mitzvot, commandments, found in Shemot, incorrectly called Exodus, which were on the first stone tablet, in the right hand of Moshe Rabbeinu. These first 4 mitzvot, commandments are the most important, such as the teacher, Yahushua HaMashiach, tells us in Matthew 22, 37 and 38, and in Mark, Yahushua and Moshe, 12, 29 and 30. I ask everyone to stay until the end of the video, because at the end of the video I am going to tell you a mystery that is stored in Matthew 5, 44, and in Luke 6, 28. If possible, subscribe to the channel and leave a like. This helps me a lot and allows the video to reach many more people. In advance I send a big hug to all of you. Now yes, let's start with today's reading. Exodus, Shemot, 20, 1-20, 11. Spoke Yahuwah, its creator, saying these words. I am Yahuwah, his creator, who brought him out of the land of Egypt, from the house of slavery. Aleph, first. You shall have no other Elohim in front of me. In Hebrew.
לא יהיה לך אלוהים אחרים על פן.
Bet. Second. There shall not be made an image, or any likeness, of that which is above on the throne, or beneath in the earth, or in the waters under the earth. They shall not kneel or worship them, because I am Yahuwah, their creator, strong, jealous. That punishment, the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, to the 3rd and 4th generation of those who hate me, that I have unmerited favor to thousands of those who love me and keep my commandments. In Hebrew.
לא תעשה לך פסל וכל תמונה אשר בשמיים ממעל ואשר בארץ מתחת ואשר במים מתחת לארץ. לא תשתחווה להם ולא תעבדם כי אנכי יהוה אלוהי אלקנה פיקד און אבת על בנים על שלשים ועל רבעים לשנה. ועשה חסד לאלפים לאהבי ולשמרי מצותי.
Gimel, 3rd. He will not pronounce the name of Yahuwah, his creator, falsely. Because Yahuwah will not leave without punishment whoever pronounces his name, Yahuwah, falsely. In Hebrew.
לא תשה את שם יהוה אלוהי לשוב כי לא ינקה יהוה את אשר ישע את שמו לשוב.
Dalet, 4th. Remember the day of rest, as set apart. 6 days he will labor and do all his work. The 7th day, it is a day of rest for Yahuwah, your creator. On the day of rest you will not do any work. Neither you, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your manservant, nor your maidservant, nor your livestock, nor the foreigner who is within its doors. Because in 6 days, Yahuwah, I created fire, water, and the earth, the sea, and everything that is in them. But on the 7th day, Yahuwah, it ceased, so he blessed the day of rest and made it set apart. In Hebrew.
זכור את יום השבת לקדשו. 6 ימים תעבד ועשית כל מלאכתך ויום השביעי שבת למד יהוה אלוהי לא תעשה כל מלאכה אתה ובנך ובטח עבדך ואמתך ובהמתך וגרך אשר בשעריך כי 6 ימים עשה יהוה את השמיים ואת הארץ את הים ואת כל אשר בם והנח. ביום השביעי על כן ברך יהוה את יום השבת ויקדשהו.
Well, now let's start by understanding the first, Aleph, mitzvah, commandment. As we see it says he will have no other gods before me. In Hebrew, the word that he himself Yahuwah Eloah used was Elohim. This word today is translated as gods, something that is completely wrong. In Hebrew, this word Elohim means the all-powerful, or the powerful authority and control, or the judge all-powerful. But the bad translators agreed to say that the word Elohim is translated as the word gods, and that the word Elohim is the plural word for the word Eloah, or for the word El. I tell you this because in Bereshit 1 or 1:2, wrongly called Genesis, this word Elohim, we can also find it, so that they can understand what I want to transmit to them. What he, Yahuwah Eloah, meant in the first commandment is, they will not have another powerful one before me. I am one, there is no other powerful one. I am El, all-powerful. There is no one before me, nor after my I am. Aleph and Tav, without beginning and without end. With this mitzvah, commandment, he is trying to tell us that El is the creator of everything. His power has no limits. If he wanted to, with a single thought, he would erase us from the face of existence. He would not even need to lift a finger to erase all the existence that he created. But he does not do it because of the love, ahava, that he has for us. And because of the initial pact and the renewed pact, given that his word its law. And El is not a man, so as not to keep his word. Everything that is, that was and that is to come. Our Father Creator, the Almighty, already spoke. And what our Father Creator spoke was, is and will be, because it has already been written, from before the beginning of the foundation of the world. I communicate it to you in this way, because there are many people, or the vast majority, believe that Yahuwah, the Almighty, the Creator of all existence, is like a kind of Superman, or one of those superheroes that they show in the movies. And that, unfortunately, is great fault of those who teach poorly, the ignorance of many and the filthy frog. That is the mass media, which teaches them lies. Many say, but thanks to science, we have this, we have that, we live longer. I can assure you that you will not live a second longer than the time that was granted to you. The Maria, or teacher in English, Yahushua HaMashiach, said in Matthew Yahu 4:4, spoke Yahushua, saying, it is written, not by Lehem, bread alone will man live, but by every word that comes out of the mouth of Yahuwah will he live, making a clear reference to what is written in Deuteronomy, Devarim 8:3, and making us understand that Yahuwah is the one who determines our time. There is no other but El. And if the Creator of all existence says, your time is up, then your time is up. For this reason, and to understand this first mitzvah, commandment, or rather mandate, there is no other Elohim, Eloah, or El. The other entities, which people worship in most of the world, are Baal, or Baals. And when you pronounce the name of your Creator, you can pronounce it as Yahuwah Eloah, or Yahuwah, or Eloah Abba, Yahuwah Elion, Yahuwah Shaddai, Yahuwah Tsebaoth. These are titles put to the set-apart name, Yahuwah. In Hebrew it is pronounced Shem Kadosh Kadashim, Yahuwah. Well, let's continue with the second mitzvah, mandate in English, bet, mitzvah, in Hebrew. We see that in the second mandate he says, there shall not be made an image, or any likeness, of that which is above on the throne, or beneath in the earth, or in the waters under the earth. They shall not kneel or worship them, because I am, Yahuwah, their creator, strong, jealous. That punishment, the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me, that I have unmerited favor to thousands of those who love me and keep my commandments. This commandment is very interesting, given that in it we can observe three teachings. First, it tells us not to make images or any likeness of what is above on the throne, below on the earth, or in the waters beneath the earth. Now, this goes for Catholics and Christians. For Catholics, because they spend their time making images of everything that crosses their mind. Not only that, but they worship them and kneel before them. And for Christians or Gospels, who grieve when these radical groups vandalize the numerous monuments that commemorate some hero national, or when they paint them, or when they break them. Leave them, let them themselves break their wooden saints, their carved images there, Baal, or Baals. If to match, my Creator told me that I should not make any images or anything similar. The second teaching that we can observe in this mandate is that under the waters beneath the earth, there are other beings that are equal to or more intelligent than human beings, that belong to civilizations prior to that of human beings. And that surely they had their end of times just as we are going to have it. Why am I telling you this? Well, I'll explain to you. In Genesis Bereshit 1:2 it says like this: The earth was dark and formlessness or disordered and empty. Darkness was upon the face of the abyss. The Ruach of Elohim moved upon the surface of the waters. Look, I'm going to give you an example. When you go to a party, the place at the beginning is tidy, and depending on the number of people there is, it is full or half full. But when the party is over, you tell me, how does the place end up looking? Exactly, it will be disordered and empty, dark and formlessness. So if you arrive at that party in the early hours of the morning, you will find that the place is disordered and empty. And if you find it disordered and empty, it means that before it was orderly and full. This is exactly the same as what we read in Genesis Bereshit 1:2. Another teaching that also tells us is that the Ruach of Elohim moved on the surface of the waters. I do not know if those civilizations lived under the waters or there was a cataclysm that left the planet Earth flooded or frozen. I don't know, and I'm not even interested in knowing. Says in Romans, Romia 14:11, in Philippians, Philipsia 2:10. So that in the name of Yahushua, every knee may bow, of those who are in heaven, and of those who are on earth, and of those who are under the earth. I believe, and this is my assessment, that those civilizations that lived on planet Earth before our Creator Father created us fell into disgrace for killing each other in wars, genocides, misery and hunger. The same thing that human beings do today. And most likely, the ancient serpent, the evil one, the father of lies, Satan, did the same thing that he did with human beings. It corrupted them, and that is why those civilizations annihilated each other until their time came. And it is most likely that some stragglers have been left behind, who are the supposed extraterrestrials that NASA wants to sell us today. But hey, that is just my opinion. The third teaching that we can find in this second mandate is that our Abba Yahuwah, the creator of all existence, has unmerited favor for us. This means that we do not deserve his favor, given that human beings, and especially the people of Israel, always live making the same mistakes. We are always stumbling over the same stone. The Torah, the Tanakh, and the Brit Hadashah. This means the instruction, the prophets and writings, and the renewed covenant. Tell us not to do something, and we go and do it. We are strong-headed, stubborn and arrogant, stiff-necked, and uncircumcised in heart and ears. As we can read in the Acts of the Envoys, Moshe Shlichim 7:51. That is why we must keep his commandments and have love and fidelity for L. Love and fidelity in Hebrew is said, ahava, and emuna. Well, now let's continue with the third mandate or commandment, Gimel. In this third mitzvah, mandate, we can read, he will not pronounce the name of Yahuwah, his creator, falsely. Because Yahuwah will not leave without punishment whoever pronounces his name, Yahuwah, falsely. Here we can understand two principles. The first is that we will not falsify the name of our Creator, Yahuwah, so that you understand. When someone makes a fake of some object, what he is making is a copy of the original, which is very similar, but is not the real thing. And this is what happens today with bad translators, who translate according to their thoughts, and do not translate what is written in everything, the Torah, the Tanakh, and the Brit Hadashah. If you continue to pray to Yahweh, Adonai, God, Jesus, the Lord, Jesus Christ, the Eternal, you are praying to other names. And we have already read what the first and second mitzvah, mandate or commandment says. They will not have others, Elohim, Eloah, or El, Judge Almighty in front of me. El is one, there is no other. And his name is Yahuwah, and if you continue to pray to any name you will not remain unpunished, as this same commandment says. John Yahoshanan 1:12. But to all who received him, he gave the right to become children of Yahuwah, that is, to those who believe in his Shem Kadosh Kadashim, set apart name. The Acts of the Envoys, Moshe Shlichim 4:12. And in no one else is there salvation, for there is no other name under heaven, given among men whereby we must be saved. Philippians 2:9. Therefore, Yahuwah has also extremely exalted him, and given him his name which is above all name. In other words, Yahushua HaMashiach is Yahuwah. As you see, we were given only one name. Not 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 names, we were given only one name. There is no more. In the previous video I already gave you the explanation of why it is pronounced Yahuwah with a feminine ending. The second conclusion that we can highlight in this commandment is that our Eloah Abba, Creator Father, tells us not to pronounce his name falsely. But what if? We have to pronounce his name, if not to whom we would raise our prayers. That is why it is important that you learn the name of our Creator Father and keep it in your heart, so that every time you speak with your Father who is in heaven, your Father may hear your prayer. And if you say, but Jesus said, no one comes to the Father except through me, I repeat it to you once again. Yahushua HaMashiach is Yahuwah, where Yahushua HaMashiach means the anointed one of Yahuwah, and Yahushua means Yahuwah, saved. If you want to do your prayers in the name of Yahushua, do your prayers in the name of Yahushua, since the name of the Son is the same as that of the Father. Now, let's move on to the fourth mandate, Dalet. Remember the day of rest, as set apart. 6 days he will labor and do all his work. The seventh day, it is a day of rest for Yahuwah, your Creator. In order for you to respect the day of rest, What you have to do is look at the sky and observe the moon. When the moon is in its phase, whether it is a waxing moon, a full moon, a waning moon or a new moon, that day between the two afternoons, that day is a day of rest, between the afternoon that the moon enters its phase until the afternoon of the next day. Once the Sabbath day is over, you have to count from that afternoon until the afternoon of the next day 1 day. And so on until you reach day 6, which ends in the afternoon, beginning a new day of rest. This is how the Shabbats are. And when it is a new moon, depending on what time of year it is, the moon will not be visible for 1 to 3 days. And so that you know when it is Rosh Chodesh, this is head of the month or beginning of the month. I recommend that you look for which day the moon is in the first quarter and from there count backwards 6 days. So you will know when it is Rosh Chodesh, head of the month or beginning of the month. You must remember that the Hebrew calendar is not like the Gregorian calendar. When the Almighty gave the Moed to the people of Israel, these are the celebrations set aside for Yahuwah. The days of the week did not have names. The people of Israel have 12 Moed, or set aside commemorations each year, which are divided into 3. Hag Matzah contains 4 celebrations. Hag Shavuot contains 4 celebrations. Hag Sukkot contains 4 celebrations. If I had to give you all the celebrations one by one and tell you in which part of the Torah, the Tanakh, and the Brit Hadashah they are found, this video would be very long, and since our Creator Father asked us to let us that respect the day of rest, and let's make that day set aside to dedicate to the only thing that remains for me to tell you is that day, the day of rest, you dedicate it to Yahuwah, so that your Father who is in heaven hears you. If you want you can pray all days. But that day, Yom Shabbat, is when his Father who is in heaven listens to them. Well, finally I am going to tell you a mystery, which is stored in Matthew 5:44 and in Luke 6:28. If we read it we see that it says like this. Matthew 5:44. But I tell you, love your enemies, bless those who curse you, do good to those who hate you, and pray for those who abuse you and persecute you. Luke 6:28. Bless those who curse you and pray for those who slander you and use you with contempt. As you can see, we can read that it says that we have to bless those who curse us, pray for those who abuse us and persecute us, for those who hate us and wish us harm. Maybe you think that you have no enemies, that no one hates you or curses you. Well, let me tell you that you are completely wrong. Anyone who does harm to an innocent child, anyone who kills, rapes, murders, outrages, destroys or corrupts a child or a human being, that is our enemy. Today in these times they have turned the mother's womb into the anteroom of death, where children no longer they are born because they are torn from their mother's womb. And then, their remains are used as rejuvenation products, and those who are born, thousands, if not hundreds of thousands or millions, are used as bargaining chips, sold to the highest bidder, so that our enemy can carry out the worst atrocities with them. And that is something horrible and aberrant. To see how a human being can have so much evil within him, it fills one with angry pain and bitterness. Then you will wonder, how can I ask for blessings for that kind of people, if they are degenerate beasts, in whose hearts there is pure evil? Well, the reason is simple. When you ask for a blessing from Yahuwah on the day of rest, for that kind of people, 2 things are going to happen. The first will be that when the Ruach of our Creator Father descends to bring that blessing, and he sees that that person does not deserve it, because in his heart there is pure evil. And if it does not reach you, let me tell you that that blessing will remain as your treasure in heaven. That is why I recommend that you ask for blessings in your prayers, strongly for this type of people. Do it on the Shabbat, and pray to our Creator Father, Yahuwah. The second thing that will happen is that, every time, the Ruach of Yahuwah descends to bring that blessing and observes the evil that is in this world, more, it will be the sign for Yahuwah that it is time to shorten the times. As we can read in Matthew 24:22. Maybe you think that a few will not make a difference. But if we are hundreds, thousands or millions praying and asking for a blessing for that kind of people, I assure you that our redeeming Father who is in heaven and observes us, will come to judge and do justice. Because justice and punishment are from ours, Abba, Yahuwah, Eloah. In some video that make later I am going to bring you a prayer in Hebrew, so that you can pronounce it too, Yahuwah, on the day of rest. Very well, friends, here I say goodbye. I hope the teaching is useful to you. Do not forget to subscribe and leave a like, so the video has greater reach and many more people join in prayer, to begin to change this world. I send you all a big hug.